Have you ever tried to adopt a new habit in your life or try to start a new project, something new that you want to start doing and you tell other people, you tweet about it, you post about it, you think about it, and you either get started for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, and you get nowhere, like it doesn't stick with you, and you go back to your normal being, your normal habits, your normal routine, or you never actually start in the first place. You talk about starting it or doing it, but never really backing it up with your actions. I know that I'm guilty of that a lot of times across my life. Sometimes I'm still guilty of it, but I want to share a little bit of an insight or a change in mindset that has helped me a lot in implementing new habits that I wanted to do, or starting new activities, or starting new projects that I wanted to do, and be consistent about it. So I want to share this because I know that it has worked for me, and I know it can work for a lot of people. So the first thing that we have to acknowledge is that motivation is one of the worst fields to reach the goals. It is very short term. Um, it doesn't even get you started. As I said before, sometimes you are talking about doing something, but you never really actually get to do it. And that is because motivation is very like imagination driven. Like you have a picture of how it's going to look like once you reach that goal, once you implement that habit that you want to implement. But it's not a change in mindset, it's not a change in your routine, it's not a change in habits, it's not a change in anything else. So there's nothing to reinforce that or to make sure that you implement that, because for your brain doesn't like new experiences, doesn't like change, doesn't like things that you're not familiar with. Either your mind, your eyes, what you perceive with your eyes, or your body and how does it feel. That's why it's very hard to stick with diets. It's very hard to stick with starting to working out, starting to start a business, because it's a new stress for either your body or it's a new perception for your eyes and your brain. It's something new, and your brain is going to try to reject that and talk you into not continuing that and going back to what you currently perceive as normal. The brain tries to keep you safe of unknown situations, and you have to break free of that. But it's really hard to break free with just motivation. You have to attack the brain on a more lower level, a deeper level. And there's a couple of good books about this. One of my favorite ones is Atomic Habits, that really lays out a path of how to build a habit, how to enter the lower level of your brain, the one that you don't even think about, the things that you do just because they are habits for you. You don't even have to think about those. And there's a way to tap into that part of your brain and install new things that you want, and there's a little path to getting to do that. Let's say you wanted to start exercising or you wanted to start eating differently. What you have to do is not give up 100%, like make the change like 100% from one day to the other one and try to stick to it as hard as you can. That is going to have a mental toll on you. That's going to be very mentally taxing. What you have to do is start to do an action daily that it really doesn't feel like you're putting any effort. It really doesn't take any time. And you can actually forget about doing it. So my advice is to set on your phone like a reminder to do that. But you need this to start taking an action daily. And I believe it was after 60 days that it starts to become a habit. But you want to start planting that seed of the activity you want to do. Let's say you wanted to start to work out. Okay, for the next 60 days, what you're going to do is that for 5 minutes, you're going to move. You're not going to put on a workout. You're not going to run. You're not going to lift weights. You're just going to move. You're going to stretch. You're going to walk. You're going to try to feel a little bit better, shake your body. If you can add some workout, that is great. If you can start jogging for 10 minutes, that is great. If you can just start going out for a walk for 10 minutes, that is great. If you, I don't know, you bought any equipment to start working out, if you can do it for 5, 10 minutes, that is great. Because the goal at that moment, when you're beginning, is not to start reaching the goal. It's just to start planting the seed of the activity that you're going to be doing, or the new habit you want to start adopting. You have to start going little by little. It's very subtle to the brain. It doesn't realize that you are in planting like a new seed of something new, so it kind of goes under the radar. But after repetition and repetition and repetition, it starts to become part of your daily life, and then you can start to scale it. Let's say you want to work out for an hour, I don't know, 5 days a week. You can reach that point after the 60 days, or maybe even earlier than that. But all you need really to start getting that habit of working out, that is part of your day, is part of your week, and you're no longer gonna think like, oh, I can't work out because I gotta do this. I'm going out for dinner with my friends. You're gonna switch that mentality to, I can go out for dinner because I haven't worked out. I have to do that. It's part of my day. It's incomplete. My day is incomplete if I haven't done it. So that is the change in mindset that happens when you plant the seed of something new in your brain, and you do it by little by little. It's like saving money. If you wanted to save money, you wouldn't try to cut like your salary in half and then try to have the mental strength that I'm not going to spend any more money. That's going to be very mentally taxing. Of course, if you need it, you have to do it, right? But the easier way is just to, I'm gonna stop buying this little thing, or I'm gonna, I don't know, save all this little amount of money every week. You go little by little to plant the seed for a habit. You play the long game, requires patience, requires consistency. But once you get to that 2 month mark, that 60-day mark, it really goes into autopilot. And it's part of your subconscious, it's part of your habits, it's part of your day, it's part of your routine. And it's hard. It's easier to stay consistent than to stop doing it. So that is way easier. In my case, that I like to read, and right now currently I'm reading this book from Seth Godin, and for me the easier thing to do is not to try to get super motivated and maybe over the weekend try to read as many pages as possible. That's going to be mentally taxing for me because I'm not used anymore to reading. I once was, and the way that I built the habit before, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, was to start reading 10 pages a day. It's not a lot, and I'm not going to get the book done like quick, but it was something that I could do at night before sleep, so my eyes can take a break from the phone, from the TV screen, from the computer, and it will help me actually sleep better. So that was like an intended side effect. But after 2 months of consistently showing up to read 10 pages a day, it really stuck into my brain. And even I could have read 5 pages a day. It doesn't matter. The what counts is that you start taking action, but it's such a subtle action that is so hard to not do it. To say, of course, I have 5 minutes to read 5 pages, 10 pages. I can do this. I can do this before the day ends, or I can do this before my day starts. That's something easy. That's not a lot to do. I can do it. And after taking action over and over and over again, it really becomes a habit. Now, that can be a little harder when you have an urgency, like you have a deadline. Maybe you have, I don't know, you want to make the habit of starting a business, which I also share the same interest. That is a little bit, no, it's still the same. Like it would just mean that, of course, when you're super motivated, you want to work like as much as you can, like every time that you're awake. But you can get to that point after a couple of weeks or like 2 months, which is the time frame to really build a habit of just taking action, whether it's just reading or doing research or putting your website or putting together a business plan or building your commerce store or starting to post. Like that is something that I actually should implement. Like take a moment just daily or weekly to make a post. For me, for example, is making these videos, but it's just take action, some action that is very small. It's not a big ask. It's really hard to end your day without doing it because you say it is such a small ask. I have time. I can do this before going to bed, right? Something that it is such a small thing, but taking the action, it starts to put the habit, starts to put the seeds to building this habit. And you're not going to realize it, but starting little by little, and then you can increase the action that you're doing, increase the effort, increase the time, because it's not going to be any more taxing for your body, for your mind. It is part of the day. It is simple. It is easy. And as I said, and this is the closing thought that I want you to be very aware of. After 2 months, 66 days to be exactly precise, as described in the book, The One Thing. After 66 days, if you take action every day, doesn't matter how small it is, it's going to be so much easier to keep going than to quit. Doesn't matter what it is. Right? So I hope this advice is useful for you. Take action, doesn't matter how small it is. but it's small enough that you can do it every day and you can't miss it. But just taking the action every day, recurrent action, is going to compound into a new habit that you can scale. All right. I hope that information is useful for you. If you want to learn about accounting for law firms, that is a super random transition, but I had no clue how to do it. Check the video that is going to be in the description. It is about recording trust accounts on QuickBooks, which is one of the trickiest things to do for an attorney. But lucky for you, I did a very comprehensive tutorial that you can do and show it to your accountant, your bookkeeper, your secretary, whoever does the books, or even if you do it. All right, take care.